So we continue with our Saturday afternoon lineup with Karen Mouws, who is going to speak on something I'm absolutely passionate about as well, inclusive coding, and titled Beyond Disabilities. So, and you've come a long way, haven't you, for this? So I'm sure you'll tell us in a moment. Okay, over to you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm Karen. I'm from Belgium, and I'm here to talk to you. No, I'm here to challenge you to tackle coding with people with disabilities. I work for an organization in Belgium called Connect, and we provide courses to people with all kinds of disabilities, but mainly cognitive disabilities, on how to live their life more self-reliant, with more confidence. We tackle all the difficult subjects, we go all the way, we go for inclusion in every field of life, and that also means digital inclusion. How did this get started? Last year, my colleague, Tom, he started a media coach education for duos, for pairs. In Belgium, there already is an education for media coaches, people from the cultural sector, from education, to learn about digital media, about coding, about social media, and then spread this knowledge in their own organization. We did the same, but very differently. We made pairs of one person with a disability, a cognitive disability, and one caretaker or someone from their environment. They actually learned a lot and shared this knowledge with people in their own organizations. They went back to their homes, they went back to their workplaces, and they became the media coach to their peers. Next to that, we also organize smaller courses that hit very close to home. We have a lot of people that love to play video games who are interested in how to use YouTube, but also how to use Facebook. We do media labs and cafes to lower the threshold. We throw all of our fun stuff, which is a lot, thanks to the Belgian Digital Skill Fund, and we go to organizations. We go to their homes, and we just have an afternoon of fun. And last but not least, we started with a project in a secondary school for special education needs. There, we took a core team of 14 students and 4 teachers that will be learning all about digital media, coding, games, social media, and they'll then use that knowledge to do a query with their peers on what the new digital media policy in the school should be. They will actually be inputting all the new rules to the government of the school. Now, why would you learn to code? For future employment? If we look at the reasons to learn to code, are we just looking at people that will in the future be sitting at a desk creating new algorithms? Or are we willing to go beyond that vocational focus? Because let's be honest, not everybody will be a programmer and not everybody should be. So why then? I am preaching to the choir, I know. Skills like computational thinking are for everybody. New experiences are for everybody. Computational thinking is not just important for people that will be using the computer a lot for high-level tasks. No, it is actually crucial for everybody to understand technology much better and to take ownership of it. People with disabilities are often regarded as very vulnerable. But if we can transfer them from consumers to producers who actually understand the device in their pockets, that risk becomes much lower. The second point, to increase participation in a digital world. Right now, a lot of caretakers and families are afraid to give a smartphone, a tablet, or a computer to someone with a disability. Because what will they do with it? Maybe they will go online. Now, we say that digital exclusion increases social exclusion. The digital and the social world are so intertwined that we cannot deny the right to having access to digital social skills to anyone, not even with disabilities. The risks are not a good reason for denying this. But we also want to increase self-confidence. Often, the people themselves are also afraid of using new technology. Maybe they are not used to it, they've never used it before, or they think, I cannot do this, I will not try it. However, once they do try it, they have really an aha moment of, ooh, this is fun, I can do this. And even more importantly, their caretakers and their families open their eyes and they're standing in shock. My client can do this? They didn't believe when we came driving on their driveway with a box full of robots that anybody would be using them. But they did. They figured it out, and they're actually coding. And, well, fun and creativity. I don't think I need to explain that one here. Now, coding with people with special education needs, and especially cognitive disabilities, isn't always easy. We take our materials to them, a big variety of materials, to lower the threshold, because they are in a closed environment, so they often will not see these things by themselves. They will not be offered any materials to cope with in their daily lives. That's why we try to shake things up. They're also welcome for courses with us, but those are the people that are already interested. And how do you know if you're interested in something if no one ever showed you it exists? More importantly, we tackle learning together, never alone. You can see here around the table people with disabilities and people without disabilities. They are learning together, they are explaining everything to each other. And believe me, caretakers have just as much to learn as their clients, sometimes even more. The first obvious wins are a great sense of achievement. Like I said, the feeling of, I can do this against all odds. And the look on the faces of the caretakers is more than worth it. It's also very important for us that they are having fun doing this. We will not force anyone. However, I have had, in the past months, not one person walk out because they didn't enjoy themselves. They all liked it very, very much to code. So these are the people in schools for special education needs right now. These are young guys and girls that have a smartphone in their pocket, that bring their Nintendo to school, that exchange Pokemon. They are the people that want to go on Facebook, that want to do anything that you and I can do. And in a way they can. We try to give them new experiences, both the ones that love digital media and the noobs out there. Young and old really enjoy themselves. We use tangible materials. We use all kinds of new experiences. Things that are, for them are so out of their normal lives, but at the same time very recognizable and fun. And most of all, these people want to create too. Even this morning in the first talk, we talked about, okay, we want to produce, we want to create. We don't just want to consume digital media anymore. This is the exact same thing for people with disabilities. I have kids asking me, I want to learn how to make video games, but I don't think I can do it. Well, maybe they won't be using Unity to create a really big game. But believe me, with the right build-up, they can use Scratch and create their own interactive stories. They can create their own simple games. The main takeaways from the past few months: just because you have a disability or a special need does not mean you cannot learn how to code. Never underestimate your audience, and they will surprise you. Of course, you need to take a lot of things into account about their learning. For example, use tactile experiences. Coding is very abstract in its thinking, and if you add to that an iconic image on a screen of blocks that have text on them and mean something very abstract, it becomes confusing very quickly. However, if you start with a tangible experience, a robot with buttons on his back, an object that they can manipulate, or even just playing cards that they use to code a little game unplugged, it creates pathways, it creates ways of thinking that they can then transfer back to that screen. Because if you leave someone with a disability with a screen, often they will go back to what they already know. They will go back to YouTube, they will go back to the game that they like. However, if you give them the right materials and the right guidance to learn how to code, a whole new world opens for them. Now, we've used everything. Well, almost everything. Our budget isn't unlimited, sadly. And there are things that always come back as a success. I am sorry that Raspberry Pi is not on this list. We're still experimenting. Now, we love stuff like BlueBots, little robots about directional programming, very, very tangible and very fun. We love Osmo, again, tangible, pieces that you put in front of an iPad that you touch with your hands. It's always a success. Scratch Junior is an excellent next step. They go from what they've learned about coding on paper or with physical objects and apply it to telling a story. And a classic, Lego. I love the look on the face of a person that just built something, and then I tell them, wait, there's more. And I open the programming software, and I ask them to push play. And suddenly the little windmill that they built is turning. The look on the face of a person at that moment is amazing. That moment of, I did that. It's moving. It's amazing. And they want to learn more. Suddenly, those abstract yellow and green blocks on the screen that had no meaning at all become something they want to know more about. Okay, how do I change the color now? How do I make it go faster? How do I make it go slower? Make sure you always prepare very well. Use visual materials, step-by-step instructions. Make sure that you go through every step yourself without assumptions that they will know what you mean. Make sure that you always try it out beforehand. Find out where the little struggles can be. Maybe it's not clear enough yet. Use very simple and clear language, but maybe not too childlike. I've noticed that doesn't go over well. Now you have your preparations. You should be also very prepared to chuck those right out the window. Because I will tell you about the first time I went coding with those guys at a special education needs secondary school. I had prepared everything, step-by-step, scaffolding, anything I had learned in my education. I had papers for them. I had a presentation that would guide them, little exercises that went from easy to more abstract. So I asked one of the kids, one of the youth, to actually put the robots on all the tables. Meanwhile, I was preparing very teacher-wise, my bad. I was taking my papers, I was putting my presentation on the screen, and I turned back around, and all those robots were driving. I hadn't said a word on what to do. I hadn't given any instructions. Yet those robots were driving, and they were not driving just aimlessly. These kids were already creating games with them. Once they figured out what the games were that we offered to them, they started creating new obstacles, just like any other group would do. They would start changing the rules, making it more difficult. What if I do this? They started creating challenges for each other. Very quickly, we saw what materials worked with them and what not. And usually, the more open the possibilities, the better it worked. Now, what about you? I am not here just to boast about our projects. Well, I am a little bit because I'm very proud of it. But I'm also here to challenge you all. If you work in a coder dojo, if you help in a code club, any kind of coding initiative, please become more inclusive. Invite people with disabilities into your group. Yes, it will be more work. Yes, you will have to differentiate more. You will have to make an effort. But you will increase diversity and participation, not just in your own code club or in your own coder dojo, but in society. You will give opportunities for inclusion. Because I believe that everyone with a disability should just be able to participate in normal life. They should be able to go to a normal football club, to a normal darts team if that's what they like. not separate. And maybe that's the biggest critique I have on my own project. We have separate media labs, we have separate courses, because we are still trying to prove in Belgium that it's actually possible. But my goal is that that's not necessary anymore, because we can make an inclusive group. Now, you will also help fight digital exclusion. We are all, I believe, already champions for digital inclusion. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here. Take it one step further. Because remember, digital exclusion increases the chances for social exclusion. But there's also wins for you and your team. You will have increased empathy in your other members. For example, if you have a group of 12-year-olds, it can really help build their empathy skills, increase their emotional growth. You will help fight prejudice. Ableism is everywhere, and that is often because people do not see or know someone in their regular life with a disability. Fight that. And last but not least, there's a lot of valuable learning experiences. We all believe in peer-to-peer learning, learning from each other. However, why should you limit that to people, to youngsters that are similar in age or similar in educational possibilities? Why not pull it open? Because having to explain something to someone on how to make, for example, a truth teller game, having to explain that to someone who thinks completely different than you do, helps you understand better what you are actually coding. Your members will get more teaching moments out of this. They will get increased confidence. It will be something emancipating for everybody. Now, I don't know about my time, but if anyone wants to contact me, has any questions, I am still here today. You can email me at the very nice email there. You can tweet at me. Feel free to. And if you want to learn more about what Connect does, you can come to our website, or if you're ever in Belgium, give us a call. Do you have time for questions? Yeah, if there are any questions? Yeah?
What sort of age range and what sort of disability and need range do you deal with?
I deal mostly with 15 to 60-year-olds who often have the emotional age of 15 and up. I have worked both with people with a very light disability cognitively, especially in the special education needs school, but also people with a very high need for care. It's really a matter of adapting what materials you offer, how far you can go. But so far I haven't really found any people who were not able to at least understand the basics. The thing is also, the more care someone needs, the harder it is they become to reach. That's why we go to organizations and we really force open the door, and anyone that lives there is welcome to come play. We use a lot of fun things that they've never tried before, like a VR headset, to pull them in and then get them into the more serious stuff. It's like organizing a bake sale for a good cause. Nobody wants to hear you talk a long speech about a good cause. Everybody wants to eat the cookies. For us, the cookies are a 3D printer, are a VR set. It's video games. Also a very big success, digital coloring books. And then we go on to the more serious stuff like social media, like learning to code, which is actually also really, really fun, but sometimes they're afraid of it. So. All right. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. A lot of what I do run code clubs in primary school, and almost everything you've got on there is also applicable to primary school children.
Yes.
In general.
Yep.
And we have children with special education needs within the school anyway. I'm very fortunate that I get really well with our SEN coordinator. At the beginning of every term, when I get my list of kids, first thing I'll do is go and see her. And she'll run me through the list and say, right, this person needs to be aware of this, and this thing really does help.
Yeah, it helps a lot.
To be able to go in knowing what needs certain children have, and also how the school deal with it, so how we can deal with it with both as well is really useful. Doing things like printing stuff out on pastel paper for dyslexic.
Yeah.
Really helps.
Yeah.
And I've done it, and it does. It's really good. It's really easy win.
Yeah, and after a while you get really good at knowing what will work and what not. My first times I always got the critique from my colleagues. Oh, you need to use bigger print. Can you make a full an enter after every sentence, because 2 sentences on the same line is something that will cause cognitive overload. It's things like that that you pick up as you go. But yes, reach out to someone like your SEN teacher. They will help you with this, especially, yeah. Any other questions?
For accessing the internet, are there particular tools and services that you recommend? Are there websites that are better than others?
Well, I know some stuff, but it's mostly in Dutch because it's Belgium. However, we see that if you direct people with a disability towards more closed-off areas of the internet that are made for them, they will get bored very quickly. They want to be on, for example, they want to be on Facebook, they want to be on YouTube. And I usually give the same advice that I used to give parents and teachers when I worked with children. Don't restrict, talk. Go through with them about what they see online, what happens online, but also, okay, privacy settings. What are we going to do with them? We did a session recently where we with the youngsters at the school, we went through what privacy settings mean and why they would be able to use them and how. And then they made their own choices anyway. But at least now they were informed. So talk, inform, works better than restricting, but yeah, I work for inclusion. Thank you.